Ravens 5-game winning streak ends here, unfortunately. So much to talk about on how to fix this Ravens offense on this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Yes, welcome back. Episode 356 of the Purple Rain. Definitely some names on here. The Tim Williams, Stills, Ed Hartwell, Tavis Gooden episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Thank you for coming through to this episode. An L Monday per se, L on Thursday, but it is Monday now, so here to talk all about that. I see the comments already going crazy. But first off, you can follow us on Instagram here at the Purple Rain podcast. I got all the way over there. Mr. Sutton Def on Instagram or on X at Sutton Def. Me, Instagram, simply as10.prod, X, simply as10. And right here, we have a special guest in the middle, Mr. Huddle It Up Films, Mr. Jason himself. Let them know first off where they can follow you on YouTube or on Twitter to get all your content.
Yeah, it's Huddle It Up Films on YouTube and Twitter. It's just that simple. Huddle It Up Films. So yeah, that's the way to go.
Yeah. And it's also linked in the description as well. So his @ is in the description on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you can click on that. It'll take you to his channel, so you can check out all of his awesome content as well. Thank you for the intro, Alex. Like you said, this is episode 356 of PRP, and we got a good one for you guys today. Like I said, an L Monday. We're not coming into this episode with with our purple shades on, drinking our purple Kool-Aid. We took an L to a 3-8 team. That's the reality of it. I've made a couple of videos since then. I was literally crashing out in my instant reaction video, and then the next day I did a little bit of a film review, and I was a little bit more calm and composed. But man, it's been a rough and wild roller coaster of a season, I will tell you that. And we actually have a super chat donation in the house. We have a super chat donation in the house here early. This one's coming from our guy D-Waz. Appreciate you, D-Waz, dropping the 2-piece in the chat and says, how was Craig Wolstad on Thursday? That was the official and his officiating crew over that Bengals and Ravens game. And you know what? F it, right? Let's just talk about the officiating really quick, because we're going to start the episode by talking about that Bengals loss, and then we're going to talk about how to fix this god-awful Ravens offense. So, Jason, I want to start with you. I know there was a couple of controversial calls. There was like the Lamar, the fumble where it kind of slips out his hands. Some people thought it was an incomplete pass. There was also the offensive pass interference on Zay Flowers. What did you see from the officiating on Thursday? Did you think it was fair, or did you think that it was kind of uneven, didn't bounce the Ravens' way?
I think it was just too close to call. Both of those could go either way, I think, in any game. And I think both of them were unnecessary. And Emory Jones had a penalty that was completely unnecessary. Took us from 1st and 10 to 1st and 20. A run play that was headed towards the sideline. He made his block, and he just decided to hang on to the guy. But this A-type call, usually a receiver his size, it doesn't get called. When you're extending your arm though all the way out, you're asking for the flag. If it's just a little push off and your elbow never gets extended, you can usually get away with those. And then the Lamar play, what is a fumble? What is an incomplete pass? I'm not really sure. I don't think that they really know half the time. The empty hand rule is gone. But like all those plays, like Lamar had Zay wide open on that play. Zay didn't have to push off. He was open anyway. Emory Jones didn't have to hold. The run was way past him to the left sideline. So all of it was just unnecessary. I think it was just another example of the Ravens doing themselves in and giving the officials a chance to make a call.
Now, real quick, you mentioned that Zay Flowers, him not necessarily needing to push off on that one. I'll push back just a little bit because the ball was slightly underthrown. If you go back and you watch the replay, like the slow motion replay of it, Zay Flowers was actually trying to slow up so that that way he can make sure he was on time for that ball and catching it in the right spot. However, to your point, he still didn't need to push off. If the ball was slightly underthrown, he already had his guy beat. All he had to do was literally slow down in front of the guy, the receiver he already had stacked, right? And if anything, it was going to be a defensive pass interference call because the DB would have ran right directly into him while Zay Flowers was trying to catch that ball. It would have been DPI on him instead. Zay Flowers took the absolute worst of the three decisions, which was, again, just straight up go and catch the ball. 2, try to bait the defensive pass interference. Or 3, try to create extra space and play with fire and getting your own offensive pass interference call. So it was just disappointing all around on that one. But Alex, I want to throw it to you now. What did you think of the officiating in that Bengals game?
I definitely chanted a manure word about 5 to 6 times throughout the game. Was guilty of that. I want Rolstead head on a kidding. I feel like the referees kind of unfortunately made it about themselves at points. Don't sit here and lie to me and say that superstar status doesn't matter, because I see Jamar Chase, George Pickens do the same things Zay Flowers do every game, doesn't get called, and that's kind of where the inconsistency of the game lies. I feel like the referees kind of made it about themselves. There's multiple times I think the Bengals pushed off, but we weren't the best team come Thursday night. We had 5 turnovers. The referees didn't cause them. We caused them. So I'm not going
Yeah.
to blame on the refs. It was just a poorly executed game, and a lot of players, I hope, looked at themselves in the mirror Thanksgiving night, and kind of saw, we are not a winning team. We are not a Super Bowl team, making those mistakes, especially in that game Thursday night. It was a poor showing all around. And I know we'll get into it, but I don't get too much into it right now. But yeah. Oh, man. It was a shit show.
I'll tell you, for one thing, it definitely spoiled my Thanksgiving dinner. I didn't even eat until like late. Like I was eating
Yeah.
during the Ravens game. I was eating maybe around like 9:30, 10 o'clock, to be honest with you. And like I'm eating my food and I'm just like losing my appetite because I'm watching the game as I'm eating. It was just not an enjoyable experience at all. I can only imagine, Alex, how it was at the game. You said that fans weren't
Yeah.
loud. What's that?
I even kept my little light show thing because I forgot it
Oh
had
yeah.
one. I was bundled up. I sat in the cold and the wind, and like wasn't that bad, but the fans were not loud whatsoever. I had annoying Bengals fans behind me with Burrow's dick down their throat, couldn't get it out, and I really couldn't say
Jeez.
anything because we were losing. Like, bro, go flat print the same numbers in the offense. I really couldn't talk back, but it just Ravens fans, like, it was a 4 out of 10. They weren't loud. I was in the 500s, and usually that's like the rowdy section. A bunch of softies up there complaining about the cold. Don't come into the game if you're cold. Honestly, you knew it was going to be that cold. Don't come. But the fans didn't help it at all. It didn't get over 110 decibels, and I think the previous game against the Jets, they got to 112. So to not get past that in a primetime game against your division rivals, to go up a game in the North, is really embarrassing on the fans' behalf as well. Like, really embarrassing. So that didn't help either.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a little shit show of an experience, for lack of better words, at the bank on Thanksgiving
Yeah.
night, which was just, again, embarrassing. Literally every family in America had that game on their television, whether they were watching it or not. And you got absolute belt to ass by the Cincinnati Bengals. Final score of that game was 32-14. The Ravens only scored 2 touchdowns in this one. Ironically, both from running backs who really didn't get a whole lot of opportunities in this one. But I'll go through the stats really quick. And then, Jason, I want you to tell me some of the things that you saw in that Bengals game, some of the deficiencies that you saw on the offense, because that's going to be the focal point of this episode mainly, is the offense and what we can do to kind of fix it. So Lamar Jackson, 17 for 32 in this one, 246 yards, nothing special from him, has his 3rd straight game with no touchdowns, right? This is uncharted territory for Lamar Jackson. We never see this, right? We're used to Lamar Jackson throwing a minimum of 2 touchdowns and maybe flirting with a rushing touchdown here and there, even though that's not been a huge part of his game as his career has progressed. But he also had an interception, was sacked 3 times, and of course lost to 2 fumbles. Derrick Henry, 10 carries for 60 yards, averaging 6 yards per carry, had a long of 28 yards on a touchdown. Lamar Jackson, 6 carries for 27 yards in this one. Keaton Mitchell, 2 carries for 19 yards, also had a touchdown on a nice 18-yard run. Rasheen Ali, who actually outsnapped both Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell, had 4 carries in this one of his own for 17 yards. Receiving yards, Isaiah Likely, although he had the fumble in the beginning of the game, he ended the game with 5 catches for 95 yards. I found that a little bit surprising, right? He kind of stepped up in a way, but that fumble, again, I know was unforgivable. Andrews, 4 for 47. Henry, 1 for 44. D-Hop, 2 for 25. Charlie Kohler, 1 for 17. Keaton Mitchell, 2 catches for 12 yards. Zay Flowers, 2 catches for 6 yards. And then not recording any catches was Rashad Bateman and Devontae Walker. So Jason, let's toss it to you here. You are our guest of the evening. We want to know your take on this offense. What did you see in that Bengals game that the Ravens could get better at? And then also, what do we need to do to fix this offense?
Man, well, the second part, I think that's a whole show's worth to fix the
Sure.
offense. But I mean, very simply, I think that no pun intended, buddy. Very simply, I think that yeah, the turnovers were very untimely. Anytime you turn the ball over 5 times, I mean, you're not going to win. And I think in the first half we had 3 of them, and the OPI call that talked back a touchdown, and you're just not going to win. Like the Lamar fumble on the goal line was a blown blocking assignment between Faalele and Rosengarten. Once again, blowing a stunt. Lamar trying to do a little too much in that situation, loses the ball. Bengals take over at the 2 yard line. And then what happens, if you remember, the defense stands up. Cincinnati goes for it on 4th down. They don't get it. We get the ball back, new life. We go back down there, though, and the likely fumble at the goal line. It reminded me a lot of the AFC Championship game that we lost, where we were able to build some momentum. Think about the Derrick Henry. I think had a 44-yard screenplay in that game. The first play of the game, Kolar down the seams, likely was gashing him. Mark Andrews had some good plays. Keaton with the big touchdown run. Derrick Henry with the big touchdown run. We were having some success running the ball, but we kept turning the ball over as soon as we got it, and we were put in a 2-minute situation. I think we only had 4 possessions in the first half before we took a knee. And then next thing you know, we keep turning it over. Like Harbaugh said today, they were in the 2-minute offense with 9 minutes left in the ball game because we were down by 2 scores. So every time we got something together, we just fumbled it away, and it was just so unfortunate. Like it was there for us. I don't think the Ravens were struggling down to move the ball. We just gave the damn ball away.
Yeah, I mean the turnover, man, they'll kill you every time. We've talked, we've preached, as a matter of fact, on this podcast all season long. You will not win a game by losing the turnover battle, especially when you lose it 5-1, right? And
5.
that's just been, yeah, exactly, 5 freaking turnovers. This is way too many. And I understand like part of the reason why the Ravens weren't able to run the ball that much. It feels like, and Jason, let me know if you agree here. Me and Alex have talked about this at length on this show. It feels like the Ravens, and I don't know if it's a Todd Monken thing, I don't know if it's a John Harbaugh thing, but it feels like they still don't know. Like utilizing Derrick Henry still seems to be like a catch-22 for them, and that's no pun intended, right? They just don't know what to do. Like 1st and 10, it's either a hey diddle diddle Henry up the middle and it gets stuffed, right? I don't know how many 1st and 10 runs we've seen from Henry that have gone absolutely nowhere this year. That's a huge issue. And then sometimes they run the play action off of it as well. But the problem with that is that the offensive line isn't good enough, even on play action plays, right, to hold up long enough for Lamar Jackson to find somebody downfield. So what do you think it is about the misutilization of Derrick Henry on this team? Like, why isn't he performing quite as well? Whether you want to talk about the O-line, whether you want to talk about, Derrick Henry himself, what's going on with Derrick Henry?
We don't have any kind of staple run we can go to between the tackles. It's all
Mm,
misdirection. Like think about Keaton's was a pitch outside, a direct pitch. Get likely Ricard and the guys, outside blocking. Derrick Henry's touchdown run was to the opposite sideline, to the left. When you're talking about, you have Andrew Voorhees, I think, is one of the worst pulling guards I've ever seen. Like he doesn't look for work. Like I don't know if you guys saw, it was not this past game, but the game before. He's looking for somebody to block, and the defender was like, "Hey, I'm the guy that you're supposed to block," and just blew him up out of the play.
yeah.
He like scrapes the line like a linebacker. He doesn't even hit. And then with Faalele, he's obviously limited in what he can do. So I feel like when we're Todd Monken trying to dial up something in the run game, it's like anything between the tackles is closed. And then Derrick Henry, you know, can run between the tackles. They want to penetrate. They want to get him before he gets started. So if you're running outside zone, you got run blitzes to deal with and all kinds of mess. So Todd Monken has had to trick his way to manufacturing a run game. Remember in the Jets game, it was a trap play. Nice wham block, quick hitter. Hey, we got him outnumbered on the right. Lamar sees it, calls that. We hit like there's nothing. Like, we can't just run outside zone and get 3-4 yards, or we can't just run power and get 3-4 yards, or inside zone get 3-4 yards. It's got to be some kind of trickeration, getting them caught in a bad defense, getting us in the right play to do that. And that's part of the reason why I think Keaton needs more touches, because the only way we can really run the ball is to get the Likeleys and the Ricards out on the edge and the block. And I mean, Zay knocked the man over, knocked the man down,
Mm-hmm.
and knocked him down again on Keaton Mitchell's run. That's definitely going on his highlight reel.
Yeah, for sure. Alex, what have you seen from Derrick Henry in this run game?
Well, I saw it firsthand, getting stuffed. To everybody who says he's washed, I mean, that touchdown run to me shows he's not washed. I mean, it's quite literally he doesn't trust the line. When you get him open in the space and give him a hole, he's going to make you look silly, which he did on the first drive. That first drive, unfortunately, sold me dreams that I, didn't think I had. I thought it was one of the games where, you know what, blowout. We're going to see Tyler Huntley in this game. We hadn't seen an opening drive like that in weeks, dare I say maybe months. And for us to just kind of treat it, well, to me, it felt like another AFC Championship, a big playoff game. I think we started off well and then just absolutely shat on the mat. We couldn't get anything going. And, taking out your running backs, Henry not being in, just passing in the second quarter, there's, 30, 40 minutes left, man. Like, what are we doing here? And I want to ask Jason this, like, did I owe Patrick McCarr an apology? Was he like the glue of this line? I don't know. It's a completely different line than what we saw last year, and last year had its mishaps, but this year, man, it's freaking awful. I'd say myself there. It is awful, and I'm not gonna sit here and kind of be talked down upon by the people for this line. It's just fucking awful, and they deserve every criticism they get. They're professionals playing ice. If you can't deal with it, go find a different profession, bro. Because 77, 72. It's awful, and what really, really grinded my gears today is Harbaugh saying that Emory Jones looked like a rookie. You coach like a fucking rookie, John. This guy is playing a different position he played in his whole career in college. You throw him out there, and God forbid, stand his ground and look better than your little freaking pet in Voorhees or Falele, and now he plays like a rookie. I'm sorry, that was uncalled for, in my opinion. That was absolutely uncalled for. You can say, he did well for his first game, played like a rookie.
Ooh, I mean, I love what you're saying. You spitting some facts right now, Alex, because I actually felt the exact same way about what he said about Emory Jones. Because I went back and I watched all 16 snaps of Emory Jones.
Yeah.
Jason, you mentioned it earlier. You said that, of course, he had the holding call. That one was ugly. That one kind of knocked the Ravens, behind down and distance, which is true. But I feel like that's something for a guy who's playing literally in his first NFL game, right? His first NFL game on Thanksgiving night under the lights, whole world is watching. That's something that can be coached out of him pretty easily. Now, if George Warhop is the guy who's going to be able to do that, because I know a lot of us have our reservations about Warhop right now, I don't know. But I think that can be coached out of him. But basically, what I saw from Emory Jones, and we'll get into it a little bit more later because I still want to talk about the run game.
Yes.
Jason, you brought this up. You said that, we don't have any staple runs between the tackles, which is very true because our guards are weak. And you said that the solution has been trying to get it to the outside, right?
Right.
But the issue is, and me and you were talking about this before we went live, the issue with having number 22, Derrick Henry, back there is that, like, that's not his specialty, right? Getting to the outside. And I've even seen, like, on these inside the tackle runs, the holes just aren't there. And a lot of teams are actually putting DBs around the line of scrimmage to kind of chase him down from the weak side, from the backside, and wrap up his legs early, right? That's kind of like, that's the teach tape on Derrick Henry. Get to this guy's legs as quickly as possible, right? And the fact that we don't have good enough guards to where he can kind of explode through the A gap or the B gap, right? That makes it very, very difficult for Derrick Henry to be Derrick Henry. So what do you think is the solution to that? And do you agree with that?
So yeah, I think I noticed something. I have to go back and look some more, but I watched that Pittsburgh Buffalo game yesterday, and Buffalo ran the same play over and over again, and it was duo, and basically James Cook was bouncing it to the outside, so it was called double team up the middle, not even a climb. It was just two guys blowing the three tech up, moving him back towards the linebacker. Malik Harrison was getting stuck in the wash of three massive humans. And James Cook, the line's flowing one way, James Cook bounces it out. A lot of times there wasn't guys there. Well, so when I was watching the tape, I was looking for us. Did we run duo in this game? And there was one thing that that made me optimistic. We had a read option called where Lamar could have kept that thing with duo in front. And Derrick Henry does not want to bounce out these duos, by the way, to answer that part of your question. Like that would be a Keaton Mitchell type run. He could easily do what Cook did, change the direction laterally, get lateral quickly, because Henry had some of those opportunities, but he would just rather just run up the back of somebody, get his 4 or 5 yards, and call it a day. But the thing that I didn't want to mention, I didn't want to forget to say is there was a read option in there. Like Lamar could have kept it. And the Cincinnati Bengals defensive end on Lamar's side was crashing on Henry, did not give pay Lamar any mind. So I think,
Yeah,
to answer your question, you look at some of these Derrick Henry, just like the 3 or 4 yard runs, Sutton, you go back and watch the tape, you'll see it. Lamar has the option to keep it. And the defensive end is not looking at Lamar at all. They are
they
crashing
don't
on him.
respect it. There's
They
no
don't
threat.
respect it. So I think ultimately one fix or something that will help is our ultimate trump card that we've had since 2018, which is
Mm.
Lamar holding leverage. Lamar, if he just hands it to Henry, but that defender has to respect him, then that defender is not the first one to hit Derrick Henry, chase him down 3 yards in front of the line of scrimmage. So that is self. Not that Lamar has to run 15 times a game, but just the threat of him to open up space, I think, would help a lot. But yeah, you can only outnumber and trick people so many times, guys. Like you need a stable run play that you can go to and just wear them down. And that's where I like Emery because you could see the feet. I mean, he's got tackle feet. Not like it, like the most athletic tackle in the world, but it's definitely night and day compared to him, compared to Voorhees and Lele. Dude broke off a spin move. And, I'm used to seeing our guards have to reach and hang on and get half their body run through. Emery just mirrored a nice little shuffle step to the right and was right in front of the man again. So the physical talent of Emery Jones, I think, is going to really help us and could help open up some more run plays as well. But yeah, like you said, Sod, he's got to get the chance though.
Yeah, definitely needs his opportunity. That's for sure. I guess kind of still sticking with the well, of course we're sticking with the offense, but moving forward, right? Because obviously that past performance against the Bengals did not look good at all against one of the worst ranked defenses in the league. But as we know, when you're playing up against a divisional opponent, you can basically throw all the stats out of the window, right? So you're going up against a Steelers team this upcoming week, in which is basically a playoff game, because if the Ravens win this game, they have a 76% chance to make the playoffs. If they lose, they only have a 30% chance to make the playoffs. So this is a playoff game, right? In essence, right? But and a lot of people I've been seeing online are saying like, oh yeah, if the Ravens don't run 25 times against that putrid Steelers run defense, then it's criminal. But the Steelers are going to get up to play the Ravens. What do you think needs to change between now and Sunday when the Ravens take on the Steelers? What do you think needs to change in order for this Ravens offense to just kind of make a turnaround? I know you mentioned Lamar Jackson and like running him, but I don't think he's getting any healthier. You told me about a little conspiracy and what you really think is going on with him. I appreciate the sub, Don. You told me about what you think is really going on with him. With that being said, I don't see him running. You see how much tape is on the ankles. I don't see him being that rushing threat, at least not in a designed way more than maybe like once or twice a game, right?
Yeah.
We were used to it being like maybe 6, 7, 8 times a game, and that really threw defenses off. If we can't go to that, right, what can the Ravens go to sort of fix the problems on offense?
I mean, I think Lamar misses some throws, not trusting his offensive line. I think dialing up some better pass plays and getting some balance in the offense will help too. I mean, Lamar made a couple of really nice throws in there too on the run. He was finally getting out of the pocket. He had to scramble for 10, 12 yards to get a first down. Like I think Lamar's getting healthier. And part of the conspiracy theory that I was talking about is I think he just hurt something, maybe like a sprained ankle or something. When he got hurt, and he's just been slowly getting better. I don't know if I buy it. It's been an array of different injuries. I think that they're just trying to throw the other teams off the scent of what's really going on. But he looked a lot healthier. He looked a lot healthier to me the last 2 weeks, especially this past Sunday. And if teams are crushing us with this stunt on the right side, like Falele and Roger Rosengard, and I know you're picking on the guards. Ronnie's played worse. Rogers played worse. Tyler Linderbaum's played worse. Like if we could just get the offensive line play that we had last year, we'd be scoring just as many points as last year. But an aside, that was an aside. I'm saying Roger and Falele on the right side can't pass off a stunt to save their life. Somebody is getting through to Lamar. But,
Yeah.
what the danger is when you stunt on that side, what's the danger when you're facing a Lamar Jackson? Why don't we do it to Josh Allen and Mahomes? Because you're just inviting Lamar to roll right. And when that happens, people get off schedule. Now you got to plaster receivers for an extra 2 seconds. The guys are used to Lamar, and the Ravens kill you off schedule. So I think Lamar just being healthy and being a better version of Lamar will cure a lot. Like, I don't think we're as bad on offense as we looked against the Bengals when we turned the ball over 5 times. Again, like,
Yeah.
I know it's just one loss. I know it was an ugly loss, but you turn the ball over 5 times to anybody, you're going to lose. You're going to lose bad. And that's what happened.
Facts, man. Alex, what you got?
Oh, I mean, talking about the offense, as crazy as it sounds, I think in the first half it was a different Lamar. The second half, first half, we were in a position to win the game. I think with our record being what it is, unfortunately, I think likely had to play hero ball, and that's when the mistake happened. I think if we're, maybe not so desperate for a win there, maybe he doesn't, reach over the goal line. Maybe he just kind of tucks it in, takes it down the 10-yard line, 5-yard line, live to fight another down. You fumble it, and to me, that changed the whole trajectory of the game. It just felt like something flipped, and that's not us. I mean, it is. It's apparently like fumbling at the goal line is our new thing. Apparently, it just is. And even the Zay Flowers touchdown, like we were moving the ball, I thought, in the first half and the second half, it just all fell apart. Lamar looked like a different quarterback. I know people online have talked about confidence. I can definitely see it. Even just the miss the throw to Keaton Mitchell, like that just is not him. it just isn't.
Yeah.
It just felt just weird. But going on to the Steelers, not kind of preview it too much. Talking about running, looks like they'll be out with the lower back strain. Derek Harmon is still injured. Their first round D tackle. Like, there are ways to expose this defense just like the Bills did it, and I'd be very upset if we didn't do it. Not saying it's the same type of way, but there are the openings, and that's in their top linebacker. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. I was at the home game last year, like the way we kind of just beat them up, and even the playoff game, like that was the way to beat the Steelers. It's not gonna be the exact same. It'll be a close game, but the formula's there. I said the same thing about the Bengals, and I guess he's dropping this game for the same reason. I really can. Like, we're in do or die. It feels like we just fumbled it. No pun intended.
I can see that too, man. Go ahead, Jason.
I think it's going to be low scoring. I don't think we completely fix everything in 1 week, guys, but man, the Steelers got some serious problems on offense. They can't run the ball. They can't throw the ball downfield. Everything is to the sideline. You got fired Tomlin chants. You got them booing Renegade. You got a bunch of guys defeated. They're fighting people after the snap. Like, as bad as the mood is in Baltimore, it's worse in Pittsburgh and on that Pittsburgh Steelers team. Like, Aaron Rodgers is so limited right now. He's got no weapons. DK has disappeared. So, like, if it's a 17-13 game on Sunday, I wouldn't be surprised, man. Like, I don't think we have to do too much. Just not kill ourselves for once would be nice.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to be scared shitless watching that game, knowing that the season is basically hanging in the balance during that game. Like that's what it's going to be. And I believe that game, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's a 4:00 start time. If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
they moved it back, I think.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh.
That
Yeah.
actually kind of sucks. I hate that.
We got Tony Romo coming to town.
Man,
are you serious? Oh my god.
Romo and
I think so, bro.
Oh,
I think so.
That'll be fun. Here we go. Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
So I wanna go back, take a step back to the offensive line here. You talked about Emory Jones a little bit, and him looking pretty good, pretty decent in his debut, and hopefully Harbaugh keeps him rotating there. And Harbaugh kind of alluded to it today. He was saying, like, in order to get better and not look like a rookie, you got to have playing time. So I think that means we'll probably see him again sometime in the near future. Outside of that, though, I want to talk about Tyler Linderbaum really quick. And the reason why I want to talk about Tyler Linderbaum is because I saw a post from you, Jason, about him and, whether or not you think that the Ravens should retain him, extend his contract, franchise tag, whatever. And I want to know your assessment on Linderbaum. What do you think are his strengths and his weaknesses? And do you think that the Ravens should continue to bring him back?
Well, I mean, his strengths are he's an excellent run blocker. So for centers, top maybe top 2 or 3 run blocker. He's that good. As a pass blocker, he's average. Which at center, he's going to have. I think this year he's been below average in pass blocking, but overall he's been an average pass blocker. And at center, of course, you're either working with, or you're helping the guards, or you're getting help from the guards. So 4 rushers, 5 offensive linemen. One of your guards or your center is going to be helping somebody else. And if it's unless they're blitzing, of course. But most of the time they're working together. Duo blocks, combo blocks, they're working together. Tyler is a good player. I just torn on whether to bring him back. That the me that thinks that the salary cap isn't real would say, well, you can't. You got to pay your offensive lineman. Why offensive line's a weak spot. Tyler at least has a good relationship with Lamar. What are you doing? We need more good linemen. We don't need to get rid of our best established linemen. But whether what you think about the salary cap or not, the Ravens have a budget. It's like, my wife can ask me for a bunch of money and know that I have it. But if I'm only willing to spend this much of it, that's all that's going to be spent. So do I want to make the Ravens one big signing, Tyler Linderbaum? I would say no, because when I look at, the positional value, I'd rather spend on a guard. Like a center to me, he's helping almost every player, giving help on every play. Give me somebody who's smart. Give me somebody who can call out the mic, who can get people lined up, and spend your money on a position we really need, like a pass rusher. It's something like that. That's kind of how I see it. So it's a 50-50 with me. If they sign him, I'll be relieved that we have our center and Lamar's got his guy. But if we let him go, then I'm thinking, all right, good. We're going to spend money somewhere else where we really, really need it. So just get me some smart guy coming in who can hold his own. He doesn't have to be a dominant run blocker at center. Just give me
Yeah.
somebody decent who knows how to work well with others on these combo blocks and helping blocks and looking for work and all the little stuff that you expect the center to do. It's the smart stuff.
My biggest issue with Tyler Linderbaum, and I really love what you said there. I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Much better run blocker than he is pass blocker. But my biggest gripe with him is that in one-on-one blocking scenarios, especially in pass protection, he doesn't seem to be he just doesn't seem to have the size, right, to hold up against some of these like bigger interior D linemen, especially when guys line up at nose tackle right over top of him, right? He snaps the ball and then it's just like an immediate swim, and now the nose tackle's in the backfield and Lamar Jackson has to make something happen again. And oh, by the way, you've got, like you mentioned, Falele and Roger Rosengarten getting beat by a stunt, the same stunt that they've been getting beat with all season long. And it's just like, for me, like you mentioned, man, the salary cap is real. It's a very real thing. And I do agree with you. You don't need less good offensive linemen. You definitely need more. However, I think you can get a competent center, right, who can provide you kind of similar to what Tyler Linderbaum provides, but just for much cheaper, and that'll allow the Ravens to kind of open up the wallet for other areas, right? And that kind of leads me to my next topic here, and it's still sticking on the offense again. We're gonna look at the pass catchers now. We're gonna look at the pass catchers, and I asked this question on stream the other day, and I want to get both of you guys' takes. Alex, I'll start with you. You remember, because you were at the game, and maybe you saw this play, maybe you didn't, but it was like third quarter, fourth quarter. The Ravens were trying to come back. It was like a 10-yard out route to DeAndre Hopkins for like 15 to 17 yards. Ended up being a first down, right? Is that typical classic back shoulder that Lamar Jackson's been hitting DeAndre Hopkins with all season long. It seems to work every single time. You saw that play, Alex?
Yeah.
And Jason, did you see that play too?
Absolutely, man. D Hop.
Yeah. Yeah,
Remember, Lamar can't throw the back shoulder throw. Remember that
yeah.
narrative, by the way.
Outside the numbers.
He's never had a
Outside the
receiver that can
numbers.
actually track the ball and catch it with some size. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So no, that's my point, Jason. Do you think that anybody outside of D Hop, and this is a two-part question, do you think anybody outside of D Hop currently catching passes on this team can make that same play?
He won't trust him to anyway. I mean, I don't
Right.
think he's not going to
So
trust
with
him to.
so with that being said, wouldn't you think that it would be, smart for the Ravens to utilize DeAndre Hopkins a little bit more? If he's like this really good 50-50 catch guy, that's what he's been known for his entire career. That's what you brought him in for. right? I'm tired of us bringing in veteran wide receivers just to not use them, just to target them maybe 2 times a game. Because is it really worth the contract at that point? But my point is, and my question is rather, Jason, do you think that D Hop should be getting more targets? Because I do personally.
I've thought that for weeks. I mean, especially when Bateman was out. But I mean, if he wasn't going to be used when Bateman was out any more than he was, then he's not going to. I mean, that's kind of like one of those things where I just accept the facts. Excuse me, Side. I figured like early in the season, he gets that touchdown the first week, and then goes 2 touchdowns. Was it? Well, another touchdown. It could have been another one against Cleveland week 2. Those 2 big catches in the end zone. And I'm like, all right, he's only getting a few targets a game. Why, Alex? Well, because they're just saving him, man. They're just saving him. They just want him to be fresh for the postseason. But then when Bateman got hurt and he's still seeing the same amount of snaps, I'm like, well, no, that's not it. They just want to play him 15 snaps, give him 2 targets, and that's his role. So I'm frustrated with it. To answer your question, though, so yeah, I want to see him play more. I mean, he doesn't get separation. I mean, at all. I mean, he can separate a little on a slant route, and he's got that back shoulder you're talking about. Just run him down the sideline, hit him in the back shoulder, or if a bailout guy he could be. But to me, it's like, yeah, how good Lamar is at using the tight ends with the catch radius. That's kind of how D Hop strikes me. He's got even better catch radius than Likely does. Just the athleticism and the body control to do what he wants.
Yeah, definitely. Alex, do you agree there, D Hop?
I think he should be getting more targets, but that's kind of typical Ravens. About not getting enough targets. And I'll be honest, I know it's like under identity, but I'm kind of sick of the whole tight end stuff. Like, has it won us a Super Bowl in 8 years? Have we gotten a one? No. I think I'm tired of the whole zigging while everybody's zagging. No, like, we're kind of going backwards, and this year's showing it. 6-6. We're 6-6. We're at 500. You're not going to pay Likely and Andrews. And to be honest, have either one of them deserve a contract extension? Right now, I'm arguing Andrews has. I mean, Likely, I know what he can do, but this year he's lost a lot of money. I'll say that right now, and I do like him a lot. Like, if I'm saying any 3 of them, Kolar is showing why you should pay him. He's reliable and he can block. Other 2, you're losing money. So I like to see him go us more towards receivers, but it's not going to happen as long as we have the coach and his philosophy. And even then, why are we? It's stuff we've been talking about for years. I'm not going to get the whole Derrick Henry not him the ball, but yes, D Hop deserves to get more targets. What has he done wrong? Nothing. You throw it his way, he's coming down with it. 2 feet in, toe tapping.
And so I got one more solution for you. Like if I was the coach type thing. Look, Andrews is great on the goal line. Let's just use him down there. Let's strip some of his snaps between the 20s because when you hit Andrews in the middle of the field, it's what, a 5-yard gain, 6-yard gain. Maybe if you're lucky, he falls forward for 8. Chris, there's my girl right there.
Appreciate you, Chris, renewing the membership.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. But anyway, hey, Mark Andrews really nice on the goal line. I think we can agree. He's got a handful of touchdowns. The rapport with Lamar. Let's use him down there more, but in between the 20s, let's get Tez on the field. Let's get D Hop on the field some. You know what I mean? And get some more explosiveness and a different look between the 20s because when Andrews targeted it's a short game. You know what I mean? He's not really stretching the field or bringing any kind of element. More of like a check down or just a quick outlet kind of guy.
Hey, now, Jason, I gotta do this. I gotta ask you something that my chat knows what I'm about to ask you. They know exactly what I'm gonna say. It's about the pass catchers. It's about a certain number 4, who you guys can't see it now, but my Ravens calendar for the month is on December, and it's about Zay Flowers this month. It's officially Zay Flowers month. My question to you, Jason, do you think Zay Flowers is a wide receiver 1?
I don't think in those terms, dude. What's that mean? You talking about top 32 or would start on any team or what?
I'm saying a wide receiver 1, a guy who can literally turn the game on its axis for you at any given moment, right? A guy who can take over a game, a guy who you can go to in the red zone, a guy who you can go to pretty much whenever. You can expect him to make big plays when it matters, a guy who's consistently going to put up the numbers Do you think that Zay Flowers, because
I think
obviously he hasn't had the numbers, do you think he has the
I think he
potential to be
does
that
some
guy?
of those things. I think he does some of those things.
Hmm.
But no, not I know what you're getting at. I would say no. But like as far as take over a game, I mean, he is extremely efficient. We don't target him probably enough. He's averaging like 9.1 yards per target. I think it was like 9.9 going into that game. We had a bad game, but to me, like I don't. I wasn't being sarcastic. I usually don't think in those terms. But like, if you're talking about pay him 40 million a year, pay him 35 million a year, like, nah, man. Like, I'd be checking in on my guy Pickens to see if he wants to be a pain in the Steelers' ass for the rest of his life. That's the kind of guy that I think would be like a take over the game because Zay on the goal line, his size, size does matter, Chris. Size matters.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so yeah, I mean that kind of hinders him. But route running, I think he's a top 10 route runner in this league. So I think
yeah.
his hands aren't very good. A lot of drops. We were testing out the film before we started. What did we see? Lamar rolling out of the pocket, throwing across his body, looking like vintage Lamar. They say he drops it. Um, I don't know. I think you could do. I think he would start on any team. I think he could put up 1,000 yards on any team. I mean, maybe aside from the Saints, but yeah, I know. Hopefully, I answered your question somewhere in there. So, but that's my opinion on him.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Alex, I pretty much know where you stand on this one too, but I mean, and I still want to let you get your take in on this one too, Alex. But for me, Zay Flowers, he's a really really good wide receiver too. I know that he's second in the AFC in yards and receiving yards, which was a surprise to me. I definitely think that the Ravens should get him the ball more, but I just need to see a little bit more of an X factor ability. I need to see touchdowns. Period. Right? The fact that he's got more fumbles than touchdowns on the season is a problem for me. The fact that we say that he's head and shoulders above better than a guy like Jordan Addison, who was also drafted in 2023. Meanwhile, Jordan Addison has 22 career touchdowns to Zay Flowers 10 is a problem for me. You know what I mean? I just need to see him be a little bit more productive, a little bit more impactful on this Ravens offense. Alex, what do you have to say about that?
I can't put Jordan Addison over him right there, and I can do that.
Yeah,
I think I get a couple of touchdowns
Zay
next to
Flowers
Justin
is better.
Jefferson.
I would take Zay over Jordan.
Yeah,
He's got
and
double
I
the
like
touchdowns.
Addison's down the street in Frederick. I can't do that. I like Addison a lot.
He's
Hometown,
also
I
getting
can't.
single teamed lots. He's
Yeah, I can't do
like,
that.
half the defense is on Justin Jefferson.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did Zay lose you a parlay? Like, did he rob you out of
Well,
something?
he lost us a parlay. What are you talking about? We bet on
Like-
him on our Purple Rain parlay.
But like, it's just I get like how
And
you feel about him, but
I'm not trying to hate. Look, I'm not trying to hate on him. I'm not trying to be that fan. I just know that contract negotiations are going to come up sooner or later. Hell, I've said it here on this very show. I want Zay Flowers to be a dog. I think that he can get more out of his career than what he's gotten right now. It's just like, is it one of those things where he's going to have to go to another offense where they have a better offensive line and maybe he can get more targets? Or is it just the fact that he's an undersized wide receiver who catches most of his balls underneath and he tries to juke around, go east and west and really can't get north? So that's why he's not scoring touchdowns. And if you're not scoring touchdowns in this
That's what
league
makes you
as a
mad,
wide
isn't it?
receiver one,
Let's
that's
be
what
honest.
it
That's
is.
what makes you mad. I guarantee you. I would think that's what makes you mad because when I look at the man's numbers right here, 84 targets, he's caught 60 of them. So basically, 3 out of every 4. He's catching like said, way. He's better than Lamar's. Lamar throwing to him completes a higher percentage. 767, which means every time he throws Zay Flowers the ball, it results in 9.1 yards. That includes the 0 yards, the incompletions and stuff. So when you look, Andrew 6.4, Bateman 6.1, Hopkins 8.9. By the way, every time you throw the ball to that man, he gets his yard. But yeah, Zay is great. I think it's the running sideways that you don't like, man. And I wanted to ask: so, do people not like you, or do you get a lot of heat for this? Let me in on the scenario here.
Recently, I had a kind of a viral tweet in the Ravens community a couple weeks ago where I said Zay Flowers isn't a wide receiver one, and some people agreed with me, some people didn't agree with me, which is fine. You know what I mean? And like everything that I've seen since then, it's kind of been like proving me right a little bit. Like I feel like Zay Flowers, he's liable to go out there and get anywhere between 2 to 5 catches a game and anywhere between 50 to 70 yards with no touchdowns, right?
That's pretty much it.
Exactly. I just want to see the ceiling get higher for this guy in year 3? Like when are we going to see it? That's what I want to know. Right? I don't hate the guy at all. You know what I mean? I think he's a super cool guy. You know, personality is great, does a lot for the community, things like that, and he's made plays for us in the past. But it's just like we as Ravens fans, especially in the Lamar Jackson regime, we have all clamored and clamored and clamored for a true legitimate wide receiver one to play alongside Lamar Jackson. It just still doesn't feel like in the big 2025 we have that. So again, I don't hate on the
All
guy.
right,
I
so
just like to ask the
can I
question.
ask another
Yeah.
question then, Alex? I
Sure.
apologize, dude. I know this is your show. Why are we
Oh, go
worried
ahead.
about why are we worried about Zay Flowers, bro? Like, what the hell's going on here, Sut? Like, we
What do you
can't run the
mean?
damn ball. When we throw it to Zay, it's okay. Bateman can't get open since the Lions game. He hasn't. Dude,
Whoa, watch out! Don't talk about Bateman like that. But you are right. You are right. You are
Bateman
right.
killed. Bateman
Bateman is
killed
like
the Lions. Bateman
he's
killed the
near and dear
Lions.
to my heart.
He killed the Lions. We can't get him involved. We got Mark Andrews catch it for 6 yards and fall down. Our whole line stinks. Lamar's struggling. Derrick Henry can't get outside the tackles. And we're talking about Zay. Like, he's the only one that's like doing what he's always done over here, man. So why are you talking about it, man? You must have messed up your parlay. Something's going on.
Hey man,
Yeah,
two
are you trying to
arguably
be
3
edgy?
fumbles on the season and 1 touchdown. You know, there's only but so
Yeah.
much I can do with that. I'm sorry.
I
There's
got you.
only
I
but
got
so
you.
much I could do with that. You know,
I got you.
but I get your point. And trust me, I want Zay Flowers to be really, really good. We got a super chat donation. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
G Money. I didn't even know G Money was in the house.
See,
Oh my goodness.
I gotta attack you more often, son. I gotta come after you more often.
Yeah, you do.
A
G
50.
Money in the house. Dropping the 50 P's. Appreciate you, G Money. Making it rain here on this episode of the Purple Rain podcast.
wow.
G Money says, my main guy is simply AS10 and Sutton Def. And special shout out to your guest, Jason. The Ravens need to make some serious changes. And Alex, I've finally gotten off the train for my guy, Bateman. Alex, take that one away. What are you feeling about Bateman? I haven't really bought him up. You know, I'm a Bateman truther too. But what are your thoughts on Bateman? There we go.
I probably own a good
he
amount
had
of
that
Bateman
more
auto
handy
cards.
Yeah,
I
you had
wore it
that
to the game.
Provide and like
I wore-
Diddy ass lotion by, bro. It was just like
I wore it to the game. Right, it was next to me.
okay.
It was next to me. I don't know what you want me to do. Yeah, it hurts that he's not not getting the targets, but he's not getting open on some plays either. I'm not sure what's going on. He got paid. He got that 30 mil. I was like, all right, man, sky is the limit. And somehow it kind of going back to year 2 and 3. You know, you'd be lucky to get a touchdown. It sucks. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's a mental, but it hurts. I'm not, falling off the train. I'm still rocking with number 7. But boy, he's gone ghost. Gone ghost. Like, why not bet his under freaking on all the bets? Because he's not getting targets and catches. Gerald, I don't have an answer for that. I really don't. But I saw the film. There was no reason to be thrown at him because he wasn't open. Sorry.
Yeah. And we've talked about it in the past.
Yeah, I just looked it up. 5 of his
Go
I was gonna say 5 of his 16 catches came in one game. He's only caught 16 balls this whole season. 5 of them came against the Lions.
How many touchdowns does he have, real quick?
Sorry about that. He has
Lions.
2 touchdowns. 2.
Oh.
Lions and what was the other one?
He ran that little jerk route a couple of weeks ago. Shoot.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns. I mean, again, I am still on the Bateman train. Zay Flowers dominates the teams in targets, especially with wide receivers. He dominates it. But I do think that Rashad Bateman, especially in the red zone, that's where we've seen him historically be like the biggest threat. Honestly, we've seen him be a big threat pretty much everywhere. But last season, I was really, really impressed by the fact that he could be a deep threat. And that only really happened because the offensive line was able to hold up long enough for Lamar Jackson to get it downfield. So a lot of it, again, is all predicated off of the O-line, right? We don't want to have that be the only excuse. Of course, these guys got to separate. Rashad Bateman, he's not separating quite normally like he's been used to. But not Alex, but Jason, I think you told me before before we went live, you said that you think that Bateman just doesn't look right, or what?
Yeah, I think he's still getting back from the injury, if I had to guess, because he just doesn't look his normal explosive self. I think likely he's finally getting back. I think it took Ricard a couple of weeks to get back. Pat Ricard now is putting people on their butts, running people to the sideline. He had his classic take them to the Gatorade cooler block against the Bengals last week. So I think sometimes as fans we forget that just when they're coming back, it doesn't mean that they're in game shape. But yeah, I feel like part of what I bring it up with Bate isn't because of anything I feel about Bate. Simply like I know Bate can get open. I know Bate can run routes. I know Bate is a threat in the end zone. It's just like you remember, especially Monken's first year, everything was read the right side of the field, and it was either read Zay and Mark, and he would never have time to come back to the left, and there wasn't a lot of first read calls for Bateman. Like I see
Right.
that still being the trend. You know what I mean? Like Lamar, they like to work Zay and Mark's side with like high low concepts and stuff like that where if
Yeah.
Zay's not open, okay, I got Mark, and they're in the same vision. They're in the same vision, same side of the field. The defender's too low, I go to the high guy. Defender's too high, I go to the underneath guy, and we never work through Bateman. You know what I mean? Those first reads. So
Yeah.
I'm not frustrated with Bateman at all. I do think he was struggling to get open versus Cincinnati, and kind of has since he's gotten back. But I worry that we're just not going to use him.
Mm. Yeah, it definitely seems like the type of player who, if the Ravens were to offload him, he would go somewhere else and maybe to a better situation that better suits his game. And he would do well. I mean, because we've seen what he can do here in Baltimore. We just quite simply do not use him. And you make a really good point. We want to flow our offense towards Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers, like you said, the high-low concepts and things like that. And in a year where your offensive line is dog shit, right? It's going to make it even harder for you to get to that third read and see Bateman and try to get him the ball. So, all good points there. I mean, like we said, Zay dominates the targets, which is another reason why I want to see him do a little bit more. I want to see him do a little bit more. But that's the pass catchers. So we'll leave the pass catcher conversation there. I feel like that was a very uh, uh, um,
That was
spirited
fun.
debate there. I love that. That was fun. That was fun.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we'll go here. We'll go here next, guys. Um, let's talk about at this point in the season. We're looking at week 14, right? The Ravens are 500, 6-6 in week 14, which is crazy. I don't think anybody could have predicted the season being like this. However, before the season, the general consensus in the Ravens fan base was that this was a Super Bowl or bust year. In the context of, hey, if the Ravens don't at least make the Super Bowl this year, you got to look at John Harbaugh and say, okay, do we really want to run it back with you again? Right. And where the Ravens are sitting right now, let's just start off with this. Do you still think that right now, today, it's a Super Bowl bust season for the Ravens and John Harbaugh? Jason, we'll start with you.
I think it. I really want to know how much power he has in this organization, because if the reason we didn't bring in true competition for guards is because Harbaugh said, "Nah, we're sticking with these guys," you know what I mean? If that was DaCosta's decision, that's a terrible decision by DaCosta. Something tells me John's calling more of the shots than people realize when they go to their winter meetings in Florida. Um, whose decision was it to not move Kyle up to the line of scrimmage? Who noticed that after Matabike got hurt, that the only way we were going to get home was to blitz?
Oof.
Um, who said that we didn't need a vet third safety? Um, there's so many damn things personnel wise that who said that Keaton shouldn't have been active the first 4, 5, 6 weeks? Do you think Todd Monken said, "Nah, John, I don't need Keaton"? Pretty sure Todd Monken was saying, "Give me Keaton," and John wouldn't let him have him. So I think yeah, dude. Like I don't know what's going to happen. Do I think it'll happen? No, but I think that it's run its course. I think John has enough power in this organization to where he's affecting what Eric DaCosta is doing as a general manager. I'd rather see DaCosta pick his guys like he does in the first and second rounds, because those guys have worked out for the most part, and build this roster like Ozzy got control to build the roster, and get John out of the way, because sometimes a lot of times when it comes to personnel decisions, from the Tyree Phillips to the Ben Masons, his mom's favorite pick, by the way, um, there's just no room for this in the NFL.
Yeah.
Thank
No,
you.
I mean, I agree. Go ahead, Alex.
I don't know how I just want to like hug Jason for saying everything I thought of, because like, that is true how I feel. Like there's no way EDC really thought this line was good. I think Harbaugh
Right.
had a say in it, but yes, the Super Bowl or bust at 6-6. Now, after talking about how bad this line is, this offensive struggle is, why do I say that? Do we not see how bad the AFC is? The AFC sucks. It is actually an awful conference right now. Like, growing up, what I know I watched as a kid, like it just is like a night and day. Broncos last night, granted they won, damn near almost lost to a Marcus Mariota and the Commanders. The Chiefs reigning back to back conference champions. I mean, they might not make the playoffs. The Bills, I mean, if they're playing a team that's maybe competent more than the Steelers, they lose yesterday. Like the teams that have given us trouble are, they might not make the playoffs. If they do, we catch them at home. The AFC is wide open. It's kind of getting hot at the right time. That's kind of what sucks me back in the team. But I truly believe in my heart that, like, if we don't win this game this weekend, like, our season's over. I know, mathematically it's not, but mentally I think it is. If you win this week, you can kind of save the season. You go in a sense, yeah, you can beat them, because I think you can beat them. But just going in and getting hot at the right time, like the top teams in the AFC, maybe I'm delusional, don't scare me. The Patriots, I mean, cool. It's Drake May, he doesn't have a left side of his line. The Broncos, I saw who they are. Bo Nix, to me, still has to, prove it. His defense is really, really, really good. And then Colts, you shut down Jonathan Taylor, you beat them. I mean, the Texans kind of scare me more than these other teams because CJ Stroud has playoff experience. But the AFC is so wide, Bowl or bust, because you can get there. You can, catch lightning in a bottle. Yeah, Super Bowl or freaking bust.
Super Bowl or bust. No, I agree.
Yeah,
I
so
agree with
we've
both of what you
seen these
gentlemen
guys
said.
play better than they have. That's the other thing I'm going to add. Like, coach isn't getting the best out of this team right now. We talk about the
Yeah.
offensive line regressing. The offense hasn't clicked all year. Like, even when guys were healthy, it wasn't clicking, man. There was always something going on. The defense takes Zach too long to make adjustments. Like, I think that, like, to Simply's point, if this team is playing up to its capabilities, then we can beat anybody in the AFC because there's no juggernaut. There's no, like, Mahomes super team with the super defense and, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback off of what you guys are saying when it comes to John Harbaugh specifically, when the Ravens lose, right? Like, for example, the Bengals lost on Thanksgiving night the other day. That was a very, very familiar Ravens loss, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that, if it doesn't make any sense, is that once the problems started to occur in that game, they started to compound. And it seemed like the team could never really settle themselves down. And that seems to be a common theme of what's been happening in big games under John Harbaugh, especially in this Lamar Jackson era. I can point back to multiple playoff games, right? You can look at the Kansas City Chiefs game, the AFC Championship game in 2023. Once the issues started to compound a little bit, what do? We get away from our identity. Our players start pressing. They start turning the football over. Same thing happened in Buffalo in the playoffs last year, right? Multiple turnovers down the stretch of that game. It seems like there's a common denominator. And of course, that would be John Harbaugh here. So I think that they would kind of benefit from moving on from Harbaugh. And I think a lot of people, of course, you can look over at what they're doing in Seattle right now with Mike McDonald, having a young, sharp, bright coach who can relate a little bit more to the players. You know what I mean? Like that, a little bit more in touch with his locker room than it seems like John Harbaugh is. Maybe that's what the Ravens need. It feels like John Harbaugh is just an outdated coach. He's a little bit obsolete. Is that crazy to say?
I think there's a place for him. I think he'll get another job very quickly. I think some team like the Giants or a team that has no culture will love bringing him in, and he'll bring them to
Yeah.
respectability. Like, I don't doubt that. I'm just talking about Baltimore Ravens, the Lamar Jackson Baltimore Ravens. To me, it's run its course. That's my own personal opinion. Almost no matter what happens this year, if we win the division, we're out of the playoffs, we make it to the AFC Championship game. I think this iteration of the Ravens, like, the players seem frustrated in each other, the lack of belief in each other. I just don't see it. I just don't see the I don't know. I don't see a team that's imploding. But even, like, with the stuff that Carball's good with, the culture and all, we've had hit pieces from the Baltimore Sun. We've had players speaking out that don't usually speak out. Um, I don't even like the podcast after a loss. You got somebody IG live in when the game balls are being presented and one of your teammates are speaking from the heart. Like, Man, we need a culture change, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and real quick before you bring that up about like he would go for a team, kind of like why the Raiders hired Pete Carroll. They needed somebody like him, some continuity. John, you can go join the Dolphins. They could use somebody like you.
Right.
I think for us, I truly agree. It is time for something else because to me it started. When he kind of just mocked fans saying, "Oh, Super Bowl or bust," like you've never won anything. Uh, that worked for the Dolphins. A successful season for them might be going over 500, maybe winning a playoff game. That's not successful for us anymore. The Super Bowl is what
Yeah.
we're after, and I think there is kind of where I was like, all right, your mentality's gone. You're just kind of good with getting by and keeping your job. Something's got to change.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you guys. If you want to go if you send Harbaugh to the Dolphins or the Giants, like if you need to stabilize your franchise, John Harbaugh is the perfect coach for you. But if you are in prime position to take, a mixture of a young group of guys and some veterans to actually go the distance and win a championship, I mean, when you're odds-on favorites to win it before the season starts, I think you need a guy in there who's going to, I don't know, it's tough to really put my finger on it. But here's another thing I'll say. I do think you need more of a specialist coach. If you get John Harbaugh out of town, you got to bring in an offensive mind, right? I think that the defensive kind of prowess of the Ravens that'll always kind of be there underlying, right? But I think you got to bring in a sharp offensive mind to keep putting up points. This league is about offense in 2025. We know the saying defense wins championships. Very, very true. But I've always said this myself. The best defense is a good offense, right? With a good offense, you can keep the opposing offense off the field. And you don't have to play as much defense. You saw what the Bengals did on Thursday night. I think they had 12 more minutes time of possession than the Ravens did. It's just the little things like that, man. It's just we need an offensive minded coach, a guy who can galvanize the troops at a moment's notice. You know what I mean? Like make changes, adjust, not be so stubborn mid-season, and be willing to adjust and make changes and move off of his spot. That's what the Ravens need ultimately. Let me bring up this. Let me address this donation here. We got a $5 super chat donation from Asmodeus the Natos. Appreciate you, brother, making it rain here on this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Says if I ever make it back to a game, I'm bringing a hashtag Fire John Harbaugh poster to the game. Get his ass out of here. I feel you, bro. I feel you. I mean, I don't think you'll get on the broadcast. Unfortunately, they might, purposely not, show that. But no, Harbaugh's been kind of up against it. I remember what was that game we lost? Was it against the Chiefs? I think when we lost against the Chiefs, because that game was at home, right? Wasn't that in Baltimore or was that in KC?
That was in Kansas City.
That was
Oh,
Kansas City.
okay,
I think it was Detroit.
Houston.
No, Houston.
Oh,
Houston
yeah,
game.
Houston. My
game.
God.
He was getting booed off the field, and they were kind of like chanting "Fire Harbaugh." So I'm sure like he's kind of feeling the heat from the fans. I'm just not so sure that from up top. I'm talking Steve Bisciotti, the big boys, right? I don't think that they're really looking at John Harbaugh. Hell, they just signed him to a 3-year extension. I know that's not the end all be all, but I don't think that they're looking at Harbaugh as like, if the Ravens don't win a Super Bowl, because we're talking about the Super Bowl or busting, they're not saying, if the Ravens don't make it, we got to move on from Harbaugh. We're going to, run him back with him. But as it stands right now, and this is where Alex's point comes into play, if the Ravens don't win this game on Sunday against the Steelers, they have a 30% chance to make the playoffs. I mentioned that earlier. That's not 0%, but that also means that you have a 70% chance to miss the playoffs, right? And God forbid the Ravens miss the playoffs or they get booted out the first round if they do make it. That would be 3 consecutive years of regression, right? We went from AFC Championship game in 2023, divisional round loss in 2024, and now to potentially not make the playoffs or, get bounced out in the wild card round. Somebody's got to answer for that. Someone's got to answer for that. And I don't understand why there's been such an affinity with Steve Bisciotti and Harbaugh. I know that's his guy. He hired him 18 years ago, but it's not working. And hell, he was ready to fire him right before Lamar Jackson got here. Lamar Jackson turned this franchise all the way up, and it seems like Steve Bisciotti is giving John Harbaugh more of the credit for turning this team around from where they were in 2017 to now, rather than Lamar Jackson. And it's just it all feels like malpractice to me. So, but we'll go ahead and we'll leave that conversation there. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up here. I just want to give Jason another opportunity here to just kind of put a nice little bow on everything you've said tonight about the offense, right? What do the Ravens need to do for those of us who just got in here today, who just got tuned into the stream, who didn't really hear about all the offensive takes he had? What do the Ravens need to do to fix this offense before we get out of here?
Well, a lot of it depends. The ceiling depends on the offensive line, really.
Yeah.
We need better play. If we get better play from the offensive line, our ceiling and floor really will be raised. But I mean, we have to execute. We have to stop this inconsistencies. I mean, we had 13 turnovers in the first 10 games, and we had 5. We had 5. So a lot of it has to do with we need to use Keaton Mitchell more. We need to find run plays that work. We need to experiment a little bit with playing Tez Walker more, playing D Hop more, letting these guys get healthy, and most importantly, making sure Lamar feels comfortable. That's the number one thing, because Lamar looks very easily frustrated. Like, it doesn't take much for Lamar to get frustrated when I'm not even that frustrated yet. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, missed the throw. It's all right. You got it, Lamar. Lamar's beside himself. They need him to calm down a little bit. Know that he's Lamar Jackson. Let Lamar get healthy. Let Lamar get right. Get Lamar in the groove. And that's the thing, that when the chips are on the table, and if the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, I'm looking at there's 2 quarterbacks and then there's everybody else in the AFC. And that's just facts. It's not Daniel Jones. It's not Drake May. It's not Bo Nix. It's Lamar. And I would love to see Josh Allen come here wild card weekend and whip their ass and get them back and do the exact same thing to what they did to us last year. That's what I would love to see. If that happens, I'll be happy. I'll be a happy man for 2025, because right now my expectations aren't very high, you know. So if we don't make the Super Bowl, I'm not going to cry or yell. I'm not expecting it. Bring the Bills here, wild card weekend. Let's put the what is it? The BTA? Is that what that's
Belt
what it
to
is? Right?
ass.
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Yeah, no, I totally love that. Ticker Flipper just got in here, says, yes, I made it to the live. We're just wrapping up, Ticker. So make sure you go ahead and hit that little rewind button, go back to the beginning. This is a very good one. Very good episode of the show. Again, want to appreciate, clap it up for our guy Jason again coming through, chopping it up with us on this episode 356 of the Purple Rain podcast. As always, Jason, man, we love you. We appreciate you. And we want to have you on in the future.
Zay Flowers, better than Jamar Chase, better than Justin Jefferson. He is the number one receiver in the league. Thank God we didn't get Pickens. We got number 4, Zay Flowers. Pay him $50 million a year. Without him, he makes Lamar. Lamar's not any good without Zay Flowers. No, I was just, I don't know, man. I was just trying
You're
to.
funny.
But yeah, I love you guys so much. I'll be on Wednesday nights at 9. I see some of the family in here, and so I always appreciate it. I'm going to do some cut ups and do some more film study. I didn't get my film late till this week, but I love being on with you guys. It's so much fun.
Yes, sir. Always, man. This has been the most fun episode that we've done in a little while. So thank you again. And of course, we want to have you back on the show sooner rather than later. Maybe next time we'll actually do some more film stuff. We'll do some film stuff next time. This one's for Jason, the $2 super chat donation from Asmodeus. Appreciate you, Asmodeus. So this is for Jason, hashtag McChickens. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, guys, we're going to go ahead and leave it there for this episode 356 of the Purple Rain podcast. Make sure you guys like this video before you get out of here. We still got over 80 people watching live. Appreciate you guys. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you to everybody who donated, became a member today on this episode of the show. Again, my name is Sutton Def. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Sutton Def. We will be live here on this channel tomorrow and Wednesday on our live caller show. Wednesday, make sure you come in if you want to, join the show. Then Thursday, we'll be back for our preview episode against the Steelers. Me and Alex will. So, of course, you can find my guy Jason at Huddle It Up Films. At Huddle It Up Films is actually added down below in the description on YouTube. And then my guy Simply AS10. You can find him on Twitter at Simply AS10. Instagram, simplyas10.prod. And with that being said, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out.
Yeah, go Ravens, hashtag Ravens flock, hashtag don't blink, hashtag play like a Raven, hashtag the North is ours, hashtag anything else. Thank you for coming through, spending your evening with us. We love you. We appreciate you. And as always, stay positive and test freaking negative.
Yes, yes, yes. And never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. This has been episode 356 of PRP. We're going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.